everyone, you are watching ITV Gold and I'm your host Aditi Lamba. Welcome to another episode. Today we are joined by Ron and Varsha. They represent this very interesting app called Homeis, really providing the Indian community and other multi-ethnic communities a voice for themselves, a place for themselves to network, and maybe a place to really interact with others around them. So let's have them on the show and really talk about what is this tech world bringing in for South Asian Americans and other Americans here nationwide, and what can we look forward to Homeis. Welcome on the show, Ron and Varsha. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Guys, an amazing concept, Homeis. It's an app available both on Google,
Yes.
I'm guessing, and also Apple. I've seen it.
Yes.
I've had the honor to download it, so anybody watching it, make sure you download it and sort of play around with it. And also sort of explore the different communities you can choose in there. So I'm going to start doing that because at times it asks you, where you want to go. But before we go more into this, Ron, this was founded by you. This is your brainchild, your second startup. What sort of led to creating an app, that sort of caters to so much in diverse forms and communities? And was the idea to sort of, have something like Facebook or better? So that's my first question for you.
Okay, that's a difficult one because it's a $500 billion company you're referring to. But first of all, thanks for allowing us to be here. So I'm an immigrant.
Right.
I came here 11 years ago from Israel as a part of the other startup that I had, which eventually was sold to AOL. So we had a great success. But when I moved here, I was amazed from how much the digital landscape is not supporting anything that has to do, A, with the move, B, with me being Israeli in the city. So I kind of you have Silicon Valley. I look at Facebook as an entertainment platform. I think most people go there for entertainment.
Yeah.
And what I saw, and was a bunch of years ago, was that really immigrants have no digital outlet to run, our very special kind of needs. We are not from here. We want to be assimilated. At the same time, we want to keep our culture. We want to be informed and we trust each other, right? So if you get a reference on biryani from an American, I guess you're not going there, right?
I'm not.
Yeah, so if Yelp gives a rest, it just doesn't matter. And what I realized is that, New York and most big cities here are really driven by immigrant communities. There's the Israelis in New York, the Indians of New York, the Bangladesh. Yeah, and these communities are mainly behaving offline, lots of WhatsApp small groups.
Yeah.
And
That's actually true.
Yeah.
And we thought about why wouldn't we try to create a place that will just take all the experience, the culture, you look for doctors that speak Gujarati or Hindi, and then it's just hard to find. And then, you want to date and you want to fall in love, you want to have friends, you need information on the best biryani, you want your Indian community to help you facilitate your life here.
Right.
Let's create a product for that. And we look at it as a very different product from Facebook, which is really on board. Give it to me, no matter what. Where we want to be a product that says to you, I'm an Indian in New York, and this needs to help me in many different ways.
So choices are very specific in that manner, you would say, right?
Yes.
The way it's divided, it's very specific. So what would you both say sort of would be the target market for an app such as this? Are we looking at immigrants who are moving from the different countries? Are we looking at immigrants who've lived here for a while, still trying to connect? Are we looking for immigrants who may be specifically looking for certain things that someone looks in the first year of the move or second year of the move? So how have you both sort of, decided how you will go about this in this app, especially when you're looking at the Indian market?
Well, as per me, the beauty of this app is whether you've been here for 30 years or you just came here 3 months ago, there is something that you will find for yourself. If you've recently moved here, you can look for information which is relevant to you. We have guides like how to apply for driving license here. Credit score. There's nothing called credit score for us in India. The way the credit system works, it is so different.
That's true.
And it's a whole new learning process that we have here. So we have a lot of guides like that. But at the same time, if you've been here, say, for 30 years and now you're looking for a bride for your son, this is again, a place for you to find one for your son.
I always say that, we want to assimilate, but if you came from India, you'll be Indian for the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't want to build a product only for the first year. We have a great job market. we have a real estate market. You know,
Yeah.
you make some money, you want to buy an apartment. That's not going to happen in the first year. So there's always needs. There's always things that pop up. Eventually, you know, if you look at the offline world and just leave digital aside,
Right.
there are communities. The communities are not driven by the time that you're here. They're just there, you know, like, and there's a reason why you guys have such a successful channel, because these communities watch you.
Right.
So I think we're not different in that sense. We want to, we just started, we launched New York 6 months ago, less.
Yeah,
in
less
January,
than that.
in January.
Yes.
We launched the Bay Area 2 weeks ago, and this week we're launching Chicago and LA,
Right.
and in 2 months we're going to be all over the country. And yeah, I think it's for everybody. We're not aiming for the people that came down from the boat or from the
Right.
plane.
Yeah.
It is for everyone, but just talking a little bit more about how the app is broken down, what sort of were certain things that perhaps you found were missing when people were looking for platforms of networking or platforms to find food from their ethnicities or backgrounds, or education platforms, or dance networks, or so on and so forth? What kind of things have you seen have been missing that sort of Homeis helps bring in, especially when you're looking at the Indian market or other markets as well? What would you say would be some of those?
You know, the funny thing is that I moved here only about a year ago.
Oh, wow.
So my experience, I think, contributes a lot as to how the Indian community is shaping up, because I can really understand that whole sentiment. And I figured all this information that you just mentioned is there. It's existing
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
But it is just so unorganized.
Right.
It is just so all over the place. Homeis basically gives a platform where it's all organized. There's a pattern to how you look for information, how you connect with people. And I think that's one of our main differentiator here, as to how we bring people together and how we let them then look for information and connect with each other, which otherwise was through WhatsApp or through some groups on Facebook, or say through Yelp or other platforms.
Many cluttered spaces, you would say, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's also, I'd say, people ask me what Homeis is about.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, first and foremost, trust.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what I found out is, Indians are not better than others, Israelis are not better than others, but it's a better reference for you to get a reference from people with the same cultural bias that you have. And I think that what Homeis does, it tries to do two things. A, it tries to, we call it, to aggregate the fragmentation, because the fragmentation is untolerable.
Right.
Yeah.
Even in the WhatsApp groups and the Facebook groups, the same question will rise again and again.
Again and again. Yeah.
It's like, again, who knows a lawyer, who knows a doctor, who knows?
True.
You need to come, it needs to be there. The second thing is that we're allowing you not to see the crowdsource of Yelp that was driven by everybody. We're like, this is your cultural bias. If you're a Hindu teacher, and you are referenced and recommended by Indians in New York, most likely you will go there, because this is the community that actually means the most to you and has the biggest affinity for you.
And really understands what you're asking for.
Right.
You know?
Like I've traveled in India for over a year.
Wow.
I backpacked. I love Indian food in New York, but the minute we started Homeis, I realized that I'm eating horrible Indian food.
Yeah.
And it's the same dishes that and then Varsha started to show me, and Homeis, the app started to show me real restaurants that have real dishes that I thought only exist in India, because if you go right now just to takeaway, there's palak, there's like 5
they're
dishes.
not that good.
Yeah. and there's no diversity.
But let me ask you a question though. Are you both saying that Homeis currently may be one of the only app that kind of accumulates all of these different resources and then sort of makes it specific for each community and then provides it for us? It's the only one right now doing it?
Yes, not only it's the only one, we're open to everybody can go and recommend.
Okay.
We're not we didn't create this platform so that we will pull information.
Right.
The Cricket League in New York has created its own page.
But how do you authenticate it then?
We authenticate, that's our job.
Yeah.
Right? And we authenticate it, and also there's a social graph where, if you're not real, people are not going to
There's
listen to
constant
you.
content moderation happening. There's somebody auditing what's going on in the app as well. So
Right.
everything that goes is...
Yeah, but we're seeing more and more Indian publishers. We would love for you guys to put your stories on Homeis.
Yes, for sure.
We're starting, the Cricket League is joining us. So slowly we take this unbelievable diverse community that is like, the Edison, Long Island, New Jersey City, and everybody's coming together, and everybody can impact and add stuff to your user base. So it's not that we are collecting the user base. It's if you go and see like the best
so
Indian,
I'm on the app
the best
right
Indian
now.
restaurants,
Yeah, if you just look at that
you
one
will get
list.
it. You will see that we already have 70 people uploading their restaurants.
Yeah, so in my app right now, I have like search bar that says food and drink, essentials, travel, legal, health, lifestyle, and then it has a list of Indian events that are happening, money saving tips, how to invest in gold. That's one of the posts. Then there's a question someone has about exploring around New York, because we're in New York right now. And then there are other people who are now commenting on the Indian general election. I have a question for both of you. Are you also trying to use this as a platform to sort of maybe advocate for more voices, more genuine voices from the community? Is that sort of what the purpose is, to sort of make more dialogues and have more perspectives out, more conversations out? Or have we been lacking that as a community, you think?
I'll tell you even more than that. I think that if you look overall, we don't even like the word immigrants. How many people will identify themselves as immigrants? Not a lot, because there's a lot of negative marketing against immigration, right? So white people call themselves expats. I never understand what the difference is between expats and immigrants, but there's like a cleaner word. And in a way, I believe that a lot of times immigrant communities are hiding, they feel less legitimized, they feel that if they're a community, then they don't assimilate, where in reality, if you look at researchers, actually an immigrant community is your path to assimilation. And what I think we're trying to do here is to give the community legitimacy. And I have a product. This is the Indian community in New York, and I'm a part of that community, and I'm proud of it. And we encourage new voices. We also encourage immigrants, globally, because at the end of the day, and we talked about it in the way here, I don't have a voice on how many people should go into this country, blah, blah, blah. That's not my business. But I do think immigration is great.
Yeah.
And it brings tolerance, and it brings diversity.
Yeah.
And it brings new voices to the game. And we think that all of these voices are kind of under attack lately in the world. So definitely, we want the communities to get stronger. We want to empower them.
Yeah.
We want new voices to feel free to express themselves, 100%.
Varsha?
Yeah, I mean, I completely second that thought. And in fact, if only I feel more proud, because I know how much Indians have contributed to the whole economy here as well, and how this country operating. A lot of the whole tech industry. I mean, if it wasn't for Indians, I wonder where it would have been,
Which is also under attack a little bit, because H-1Bs are now under big scrutiny, and then we're seeing people talking about it in the app, and we want lawyers to come. The H-1B world is changing dramatically. It's mainly Indians.
Right. So true.
Yeah. So there's a lot of issues here. That's what I said. Facebook is a place. I actually think Indians are much more into WhatsApp than into Facebook.
Yes, that's true. They are.
All
They
Asians
are.
are.
Yeah.
You think so?
But my question here would be, though, for now, when you're looking at the app and you're looking at the market it's sort of creating for the Indian community here or other specific communities, what sort of are your own personal hopes that come out of this app? And then, when you see the network of people on the app and random things that are happening, events that are taking place, or group discussions that are happening, what kind of topics are being discussed? What kind of interest do you see that sort of appears on Homeis? Just for our audience to see if they can connect more with what the content is actually.
Sure. So one thing that we've always put our focus, our energies on, and that's what we want people to also eventually start talking about, is something that they can't, a platform there where they can express themselves with no inhibitions, where they can talk about, say, Maggie. We all grew up eating Maggie, right? And we understand that, right? But maybe they cannot have a platform anywhere else where they can talk about it, because people won't understand that, right? So I think the whole idea is to actually lost the question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was how are you sort of creating the content? What kind of content are you
We're
seeing
not,
from?
so it's important.
From the,
Yeah, you just
no, you're not creating. But what kind of content do you see appear a lot on
Yeah,
Homeis. You know,
I
what is the
think-
what are all of the communities in general, according to you both, are talking about? You know, be it Israeli, be it somebody who's from, you know, who's Indian or Bangladeshi.
Yeah.
There must be certain things that sort of brings them. You have a lot of
100%.
membership here. So I'm trying to
100%.
see where is everyone getting attracted to.
So I say it's two folds. The first one is we are allowing people to have a very secure place to share their difficulties, you know? And sometimes, you know, moving to a new place is hard.
Yeah.
It's a new system, new codes. Financially, it's hard. Like, and we see a lot of kind of support groups and activations around that.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is we're trying to create more opportunities, so much more utility driven. You know, finding the right doctor, the right lawyer, finding a job,
Right.
finding a roommate. How do I build a credit score? So I would say there's like the emotional side. We came here, we don't have a family. Do you miss home? Don't you miss home? Totally legit to talk about it. Like
Right.
that's why we're here. We're saying a lot there, and a lot about information that is vetted by people you trust, you know, at scale and hopefully nationally soon. So I think that's the two kind of main
Interesting.
anchors for the experience.
In Varsha, have you seen certain particular areas on the app that are very favored by, say, the Indian American population or the Bangladeshi community, or the South Asians? What is attracting them?
So a lot of times they want to come together because they, yes, it's
guys
a
are
food.
crazy
Yeah.
about
Ron is screaming food, everybody.
Yes, you know, you won't believe we have lists that is like the best Indian restaurants or the Indian cooking help or
Wow.
the Indian grocery stores.
Right.
And those are the lists that people refer to most of the time.
Because we like our food. It's
Yeah.
so,
So much.
important.
Well,
But the amount of tiffin in New York, I was
the
amazed.
tiffin service, yeah.
Well, now they're all coming. They're all opening. They're like just
Tiffin services.
the
yeah.
obsession of the South Asian community, like with their food.
Yeah.
That's
I think
true.
is unprecedented.
Yeah, but we do have like different personas on the app.
Right.
We have a lot of Indian mothers on the app,
Oh,
and they
nice.
come together and they form their own group, and then they are sharing tips. The whole education system that America has
Yes.
is so different than what we
Right.
have in India. So there is a conversation going on between the mothers, and they're discussing about the future of their kids here. Then we have a different persona who are like international students who've just come from India.
Right.
And then they form their own group. So you know, it's like you find your own tribe here on this app, and you know that they're all coming from same background. They're coming from same country. So you can actually just connect with them and try and find the information. And if not information, at least just find somebody that makes you feel like home. You know, and that's, I guess, is the whole gist of why we really exist.
Let me ask you something. What sort of has driven both of your passion towards sort of creating so many venues for immigrants? Because you must have a desire in you to do something like this, correct?
100%.
Yeah.
You have to have it. I don't think otherwise you can put
I would-
in
yeah.
your heart and soul. Which
I would
can
let
see that
Ran
you-
answer this, and I'll give my answer.
For me, it's pretty simple. Look, I sold my first startup. I was lucky enough, together with my partner, we created an online video company. We sold it. We actually stayed in the acquired company, AOL. We produced shows. We won Emmys. Like when we finalized or finished the 8-9 years we spent
Wow.
in our round, you know, it was clear for us. We said the next thing will be good. Right, like we want to do something good. We're at the age. I have some white hair. Maybe you can Photoshop it later. And like I think technology was totally glorified for a few years, and today we realize that
Yeah.
a lot of technology is not doing good.
Yeah.
Right, in the world, like the whole premise that the utopia of technology will make us better. We're actually seeing a lot of usage of technology to create a lot of
Lots of misuse on international
lots
levels.
and by the way, lots of hate as well,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is against immigrants. And one of the things that so it was clear we want to do a for-profit, and I think that in the immigration market is robust and huge, and there's no issue there.
Right.
But also, you see a community that is being attacked all over the world. You know, Brexit is against immigration.
Yeah.
Trump is against immigrants. Merkel in Germany has lost her. Like immigration is right now one of the most hottest topics
Agreed.
worldwide,
Agreed.
and you know it's an audience that by definition is weaker because you know we don't have the right to vote. We don't like those. And yeah, I think, I'm fascinated about taking technology, giving it a very good use, working for something I relate to on a personal level. And I'm a privileged immigrant to that degree. So if I can help, after we do Indians, which we love, the next one will be Mexicans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's going to be a huge population. That's a huge part of the nation.
And an attacked one.
Yeah.
Right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think that there's something here that makes all of our employees, and we're in the New York office, we're French, Israelis,
Indians.
Spanish, Indians.
Wow.
None of us is a citizen. We all have accents. We do different food
Every
week.
month there's a different food.
Like so there's something about diversity and a better, creating something better in today's world that I'm extremely convicted about.
Wow.
And that's why I love coming into work every day. But to be very honest, I guess my idea resonates with Rand's completely. When I was interviewed for this role and when I learned about Homeis, I was at a stage in my life where I completely detested social media and the use of technology because it wasn't being used the way it should be, right? The whole idea with which the social media platform started to what it is now has completely changed over time. And when I heard the whole idea that Homeis has, it completely convinced me because it's really about bringing in a change in somebody's lives, The role that I have, which is of handling the community, the Indian community here, I really think that we are using the social media, the power of technology in the best possible way. Give them all the help and guidance and a safety net that they can use in a foreign land.
That's so important, the safety net. Very, very key word. Let me ask you both another question just on that. I know we're coming towards the close of the interview. When you're looking at this year and perhaps next year, and when you're looking at the app, it's being released now in New York, Chicago, you said California, LA.
Yes.
You are trying to take it international.
No, we first need all of the US.
All of the US and then international,
Yes.
hopefully. So obviously
Yes.
the idea is to continue the narratives of immigrant voices positively, safety net, providing a lot
And
more.
globally.
Yes. So what would your particular steps right now in your agenda be for this year, next year to sort of, bring forth more of that?
Ranj, you want to go first?
Yeah, we're adding, we work in two folds. One is to launch more and more. Right? So we need to raise more money for that. We raised $4 million to date.
Wow.
We need more.
Wow.
We need that. It's tech,
Fingers crossed, yes.
So we will probably announce things there as well. But I think our bottom line is we want every immigrant in the world to use Homeis, period. No matter where you're from, what your language is, we want you to use Homeis. And we need to get there in steps. So we need to launch more. We love Indians because it's also for a company, you guys are using English as the interface. So it's a way for all of us to look at it and understand it and learn from the Indian community on how to apply it to languages we don't speak.
Right.
So now we're going to get into languages we don't speak, which is Chinese and Arabic and Korean and Spanish and stuff we don't speak. And the second thing is to improve the product. We want to add some dating, which I think Indians are not against. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They love it.
But you could add friends on the app right now.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of
but
friend
we
requests
will-
just within a day.
But we will give more tools, by the way, to not be harassed, and at the same time to be able to know people not through a dating site, but in a way, because there's, marriage and nationality is you guys have not invented it. We're seeing it again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And we think that knowing each other not through a dating app, but actually through the community will give you a lot more context. So we're going to go there. We want to get people to do random, I'm throwing a dinner in Astoria.
Come
Who wants to
together.
come?
There are people who actually make their plans. Hey guys, I'm free on weekend. Do you want to just hang out? And I'm in Long Island City, and people are just meeting up.
Wow.
So a better product launched in more markets. That's where we're going, and more nationalities. But right now we have Israelis, French, Indians, we're going to have, until the end of the year, we're going to have all Spanish speakers.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is very exciting. Varsha, what can you give us more details on the Indian breakdown of agenda?
Sure. I actually want to add another point here that we do support a lot of small businesses as
Yes.
well, the
Correct.
Indian small businesses.
Which is a huge part
Oh
of
my
the
God,
Indian
yes,
population,
yes,
which
it
are small
is.
businesses.
It
And they
is,
have
you know.
no platform, actually.
Yes.
That's a great point.
Yes. So we, what we do is we try and get in touch with them, and we bring them on board because at this point in time of our phase, they get access to all the users.
Oh, wow.
Right? If they come on board, and even if like ITV, if you come on board, you have content that you're publishing, right, on
Yes.
your digital
Of course,
platforms.
yeah.
And of course, you have consumers out there, and primarily they're all Indians, right?
Yeah.
So imagine you come on board on Homeis, and then you have your own page, and you're publishing content which is actually being consumed by the users right there. So you're not going out and you're not trying to look for, say, outdoor hoarding, or you're not trying to have pamphlets, and
Yeah.
you're worried about your spillover, but because here you have your core audience right there waiting for you.
And again, small businesses in immigrant communities, sometimes 100% of the client base is the community.
Yeah.
Right? If you're cooking, if you're a lawyer, people will trust. If you're an accountant, Facebook will never. You gotta pay to get
The
distribution.
reach, yeah.
Right.
Google doesn't know about you.
Yeah.
So all they got left is the newspaper, which are thriving in immigrant communities while
Yeah.
they're dying in the rest of the world. So yeah, it's
Genius. I think.
You wanna invest?
I think yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about it after this interview.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty genius concept because there are ample amount of social media platforms now. That's something that's very clear. However, whenever it comes to the immigrant communities, just getting something all put together in a proper organized manner, really catered to the true needs and also in an authentic manner is actually very difficult.
very difficult.
Very difficult, and I think it's a great step. I think you have some really great markets. I would love for both of you to give one last message out to our audience, and also, if you can give the South Asian youth, we love to ask this question on the show, if you could give the South Asian youth right now for 2019 or 2020 some advice, some tips, maybe something they can do with Homeis in advocating voices, what would those messages be?
Well, I would say, first of all, get on the app. That's the most important point. And just connect with people, talk to people. I mean, whether you've been here, as I said before as well, whether you've been here for so many years or you've just come here, there is something that you will find on this app which will be useful for you. Whether it's, say, a Holi in the City event, or it's the best Indian restaurant, or if it's just about connecting with somebody who's from the same hometown. I'm from Delhi, and I know we have 20% of our user base on New York side is actually from Delhi.
Wow.
And when I talk to them, I'm talking in my Delhi Hindi accent, and we are talking about places that I've been to. There is so much in common that we have, that we share, that the journey here, as I said, I'm just 1 year old in this country.
Yeah.
The journey here becomes easier and becomes an exciting journey.
Yeah.
I don't feel alone. I don't feel like an alien in a different country.
So connect.
Yes, connect.
Try and connect. It's a good message we can all take with what's happening in the world these days.
Yes.
100%.
What would your message be, Ron?
I think that I'll say, first of all, yes, you're most welcome. We want to see you. And we would love to have you. The second thing is that I think that something has changed in what assimilation is. When people came here 20, 30 years ago, and I also, I was Hassan Minhaj talks about his father, like, you gotta assimilate, you gotta shut up, you gotta play by the new rules, you gotta wash your past. And I think that the world is changing a lot because of digital.
Definitely.
And what we are saying to people is celebrate your culture.
Yes.
It's okay. It's all right. Your kids need to speak Hindi.
Yes.
And you can go and have a holy party. And there are more people like you that are American Indians. And I think that the more you come together, you actually assimilate better because you're empowered.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing having the two of you here.
Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
having us.
So much for joining us, everyone. This
Thank you.
was amazing team from Homeis, Ron and Varsha. What a great app. Connect and assimilate. I hope you all check out the app just like I did, and I hope you make some friends just like I'm about to. Thank you for tuning in with ITV Gold. I'm Aditi Lamba signing off.